What's up, everyone? This is Destroyer229, and welcome back to the Battle of Lumbridge, even though we're not quite at the crater. So last week, we saw the first effects of reinforcements and the voting, and also how to actually do the event. This week, we are going to once again head back to Duke Horatio and see what troubles he has for us this time around. Now, I saw some NPCs of some Lumbridge guardsmen, and I'm really scared that the majority of the people voted for the most expensive option, just like last week, because I really don't want to lose out on all the things that I could possibly get. Yup, damn it, people! They went with recruit more guardsmen. So, yeah. Great. Okay, well, let's see what we have here. We could request aid from our political allies in other cities. Okay, so there's 90,000 GP left. So the options are, ask assistance from the White Knights in Falador, ask assistance from the politically neutral Varrock, send a delegation to El Kharid, or don't ask for anyone. What? Please tell me that people aren't going to go with the most expensive option for El Kharid. I certainly hope not, because if we run out of money for this, I'm going to be so mad at people. Well, it's more... I'm trying to think, who would be more likely to aid Lumbridge? The White Knights or Varrock, who's, for whatever reason, being neutral in this war, or this battle, which seems very strange because you'd think that they would side with Saradomin, but... Well, I guess the White Knights would be more of an aligning with Saradomin, which I guess the best thing would be to try to keep the peace and keep Lumbridge as the same as possible. So I'm just gonna go ahead and ask assistance from the politically neutral Varrock. Cast my vote. And let's go ahead and put that once again into strength. Hooray! Now, I did see some extra guardsmen. In fact, I can see some... Wait, manage lectern. That was new. Does that just put me to the... Yeah, that's just a very quick option to get to there. Okay. Now, I see that there are quite a few extra guardsmen around. There's an altar here. What? Wait, what? When did that get here? Okay. Weird that there's an altar right there. But I kind of want to explore around Lumbridge to see if that house was rebuilt for the crafters. Is this the house? Wait, what the? Zamarakian herbalist? Wait, what? Wait, why? The Duke is kind of time to not be forgotten. On the other hand, it seems I must live side by side with those self-righteous fools of Saradomin. Out of respect for the Duke, I shall not initiate any battle between us for now. Wait, whoa. Were the two crafters mentioned? And I'm going to lower down that volume because... That's loud. Let's see, no? They said they were living next door. That's the only next door, unless there's a house over on this side, which I didn't see. Huh? Unless both crafters were somehow the herbalist, and yeah, and the priest. Let's see. I'm grateful the Duke has decided to offer us refuge after our house burned, but I can't believe I also let that vile minion Zarak after what he's been doing. I'll be keeping an eye on him. Okay. So, yeah, apparently the crafter with wife and children were the summoner and priest. Okay. And then, of course, there's also these extra guardsmen. But why? I don't understand why this is based on, like, everyone's things. Because everyone seems to be going for the most expensive option. And if that's the case, then our hands will be tied when it comes to anything else. Okay, well, back in the Saradomin camps, Saradomin's percentage has gone down even more, but his lead has gone up. Admittedly, I haven't been here in a few days, so he's leading by just a tad over 16 million votes. I also haven't seen what sort of reinforcements were called yet, so this will be interesting. Let's see, so, increased by power 6. Wait, what? Oh, well, apparently reinforcements haven't quite arrived yet. Okay, weird, but never mind. And there really isn't much else. I mean, we still have... lag. I mean, we still have the same old skilling spots. It's still the same enemies. Reinforcements haven't quite arrived yet. But there is something that's really unique. And that's the fact that you can actually talk to the generals of whichever side you are on. And they will give you some rather interesting information about their side and who they are as an individual. For Saradomin, it's this guy's, Padomenes. For Zamorak's side, it is Moya. Now, Padomenes, he isn't really too special. I mean, he's an Icene, which are basically, like, I guess, angels. They're winged humanoids. To be the purest sense of the word, they are winged humanoids. But they do come from a different plane of existence. Padomenes is just one of those guys. This is the first thing he's in. Moya, on the other hand, is a very interesting character, and actually a recurring one within Runescape. And probably one of the only reasons why I even like the Zamorakian side is because Moya's on that. Moya is a half-Majorit hybrid. For those of you who don't know, Majorit are these powerful beings who... they're very much feared in the world, and there's quite a number of them, but by quite a number, I mean there's very few. There's maybe between 10 and 12, I believe. I could probably name off all of them. And they've been some of RuneScape's biggest antagonists. In fact, Zamorak, the actual god of chaos, was a Majorit before he became a god. Moya is a half-Majorit, half-human, and she was basically sent to spy on a Majorit in Demonheim. Demonheim is a place where you train dungeoneering. And she basically found the plane where Zamorak resided, and Zamorak basically explained to her, was basically her mentor in the ways of chaos, how chaos can be used to improve the lives of people. And not only was she basically Zamorak's pupil, she is now his general, which is pretty neat. However, we're not here to talk to Moya, since we are on Saradomin's side. Instead, we shall talk to Padomenes. Now, you do get these dialogue options when you upgrade your token. And you get the most options, all the options you can, when you get the rune token of your receptive side. Dragon doesn't unlock anything new. But let's go ahead and talk to Padomenes. His name is a little difficult to say. And see what he has to say about Saradomin and his race of Icene.
Saradomin be praised. You have brought glory to our cause. How can I help?
Before we really do anything, let me go to audio settings real quick. Oh, voiceover is at the max. Okay, let me go ahead and just lower these options once again really quickly. I don't know why voiceovers are so quiet compared to everything else. Well, how's the battle going?
By our Lord's grace, we have the upper hand. Fight on, my friend, and we will carry this battle. Our Lord needs as many divine tears as we can find. For all that is good, we must persevere.
Okay, I don't know why I said persevere when it says continue on, but sure. I have a question about the gods. So, what's your opinion of your god, Saradomin?
Saradomin is the one true god. All other so-called gods are nothing more than pretenders. Only Saradomin is born to be a god. The power of the others is the result of greed and envy, stolen power. But Saradomin is the Lord of Light, the bringer of justice. He is stern but merciful, and acts to protect us all. And so, when this fight is over and peace returns, our Lord will watch over and guide us. There can be no greater calling than to serve Saradomin.
Interesting. Now, what he speaks is very interesting. The fact that Saradomin is the one true god and all others are pretenders. It's one of the biggest faults with Saradomin is the fact that his followers are so blinded. They blindly follow him. And that's really one of the downfalls to Saradomin, is the fact that he is also a quote-unquote pretender god. In fact, probably the only true god are the Elder Gods, and no one knows where they are. Well, what do you have to say about Guthix?
I know little of Guthix, save that he had great power and prevented our Lord from entering this world. It saddens me that he had to die, but his lack of action caused the deaths of innocents. If he had allowed Saradomin to return here, we could have protected people from the meddling followers of false gods. But Guthix did not care. And so while we mourn his passing, we must now turn to Saradomin for help.
It wasn't that Guthix didn't care. It was the fact that he didn't want mortals to worship gods. So, yeah, that's kind of why he prevented Saradomin from coming back. What's your opinion of Zamorak?
Zamorak is but a pretender. A thief who stole power not rightfully his, and he calls himself a god? What does he give in return for loyalty? I have seen the wilderness that is his legacy. Once a fertile land, now it is a wasteland due to Zamorak's greed. He cannot be allowed to continue. Those who take up his false banner against Saradomin must be destroyed. We will suffer no heretics. Only when the chaos that Zamorak brings is gone, can we rebuild with Saradomin's protection a peaceful and bountiful world.
And what he says about Zamorak is actually true, and something I can't find fault with. Zamorak did steal his power to become a god, and in fact, that's the big trigger of the first God Wars, was the fact that Zamorak stole that power. He was banished, and then came back and declared war. But what he also says, that they won't stand for any heretics. That's kind of a trouble for everyone else, especially those who don't rightfully side with Saradomin, which is a good amount of people. Okay, but I had some questions about you.
You have earned an audience, my friend. What questions do you have?
Who exactly are you?
I am Pedomenes, the leader of Saradomin's holy army of this world. I was born many, many years ago, by your reckoning, and had a happy childhood. I found my calling early in life, and traveled to Saradomin City to train as a warrior. There I fared well at the martial arts, but it was the tactical games where I excelled. As I grew older, I began to realize the true glory of Saradomin, and took holy orders.
Okay, I'm finding it difficult to hear this guy. I don't know why he's so quiet, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn down the music even more.
For many years I traveled the world, preaching and moving from island to island. It was a happy time. But then, Saradomin called me back to the military, and by his grace, I was made a general. I was greatly honored when he asked me to lead his troops on his return. But I digress. Zamorak must be stopped, and we will have time to talk when victory is ours.
So where do you come from?
Like many others on Gielinor, I too am from another plane, brought here by the grace of Saradomin. Our world is one of ocean, with small islands dotted throughout. The land is fertile, and many of us grow crops. I wish I had the skill, but my talents lie elsewhere. But our days are as long as your years. When the light dims, so do the crops fail, and we must move on. With Saradomin's grace, we find new islands, and like his light, our day never ends. Perhaps one day you will visit our home, but now we have a battle to win.
A world of endless ocean and floating islands, moving from island to island when night falls. That would be an interesting world to live in. So why do you follow Saradomin?
Simply answered, Saradomin is the one true God. Saradomin brings us truth, light, justice, and life. He is our protector and our guide. Indeed, when I took holy orders, it was so that I could follow his example. Saradomin brought our people safety and hope, and as his priest I could do the same. With our Lord, we can all live in peace and harmony, free from the chaos of false gods. Of course, some profess to follow these so-called gods, pretenders all. These misguided followers must be shown the truth of Saradomin's glory. This is my mission. But those who refuse to see the truth and stand in our way, as Zamorak does now, they leave us no choice. They must be destroyed.
Sadly, I am not truly on your side. My allegiances lie with Saren and the Godless. I really hope there doesn't come a time in which I have to choose between one or the other, because then that's going to be so conflicting for me. But I digress. What do you know of Ziliana? Now, before I go ahead and click on that, for those of you who don't know, many years ago, there was a dungeon that was released called the God Wars Dungeon. It was basically a frozen battlefield that thawed, and all the combatants that were in there were fighting in one of the last battles of the God Wars. It was a four-way fight between Saradomin, Armadil, Zamorak, and Bandos, all to get their hands on the God Sword. Ziliana was Saradomin's general in that battle. She's one of Saradomin's greatest generals, in fact. So what do you know of her?
Ziliana. She is something of a legend among our people. Thousands of years ago, towards the end of the First War, she came to Gielinor as one of Saradomin's finest. But not long after, the war ended, and this world was denied the protection of our Lord, and Ziliana was stranded here. I never thought it possible that she was still alive. Her strength and speed are unsurpassed, and time has not blunted her skill. It is truly a blessing that she is back.
Alright then. So he thinks very highly of Ziliana. So what about my orders?
I am impressed by the fervor in which you pursue our campaign. I wish I could offer you more demanding orders. But our task is simple. Our Lord requires power, and the best source of that power is the divine tears. So it is simple, my friend. Destroy those who stand in our way, and return with any tears you find.
Alright then, I have no more questions then.
Saradomin is with you.
Okay, so that is basically all of the dialogue options for Podomenes. To quickly recap, he is an Icene from the Icene homeworld, which is a ocean world with floating islands. Mostly filled with farmers, but also priests who preach Saradomin's name. They are heavily misguided in the fact that they believe that Saradomin is the one true god, and any others who claim to be so are merely fakes. That is wrong, that is misguided, and that is one of the biggest flaws with Saradomin. But he does speak truth about Zamorak and how it is his legacy. Well, his legacy is the wilderness, basically. Which, if you know Runescape, you know the wilderness is the biggest PvP area in the game. And the most dangerous area by far. He knows of Zilliana, and he's impressed that she's still alive. Though the fact that she was frozen for most of that time until... Really, it would still be this year in the chronological order of the game. She really hasn't been gone that long, to her at any rate. But that's pretty much it for this week. There really isn't much more. There's no new resource gathering. I've gone through all the options for Podomenes, the reinforcements haven't come, and we've seen what Duke Horatio has in store for us. So, as the loading screen pops up, join me next week when we see what happens in Week 4. So until then, everyone, take care.